So Act 4, Scene 2, that directly follows Macbeth's order to kill the whole Macduff family. We go to Fife and Macduff's castle. And I think we can pretty much guess what's going to happen here. The audience is imbued with a sense of dramatic irony as they watch this, because there's a sense that what will take place. We've already heard about it, so we're just kind of waiting for it to happen. One of the things to note in this is the extent to which suspicion completely dominates the landscape in Scotland now. Everybody fears that Macbeth is going to decide that they're traitors at some point. He's obviously been doing this with other people. Macduff has run away, and Lady Macduff is upset about this. Obviously, that's what they're talking about here. But she says, his flight was madness. When our actions do not, our fears do make us traitors. So, even though Macduff had done nothing specifically to be a traitor as of yet, the act of running away indicates that he's got some kind of fear, and she worries that Macbeth and the king, or the king Macbeth, will take that wrongly, and she is more right than she knows at this point. There's a bit of Lady Macduff being upset about her husband leaving her, and a bit of Ross telling her to basically be quiet and keep to yourself. But there's continued language of suspicion as well. But cruel are the times when we are traitors and do not know ourselves, when we hold rumour from what we fear, yet know not what we fear. So that's the kind of atmosphere that's going on. Everyone thinks everybody is a traitor. Everybody is scared of everyone, but they don't know why they're scared. That's the kind of situation that's going on in Macbeth's reign in Scotland. Note that Ross leaves shortly before the murderers arrive in this scene. Now, I know that there are some directors who have interpreted Ross's role in a lot of different ways in this play. He always seems to kind of leave at just the right time, quite diplomatic in that sense. Can he be trusted? In one of the most famous productions of Macbeth, film productions done by Roman Polanski, Polanski actually chooses to have Ross, as he's leaving, leave open the door for the murderers to come in. So the idea that he's playing both sides and he's kind of a little bit double-edged there comes across. But that's not strictly in the text. It's just something that I think it highlights. It's choices like that highlight the kind of duplicitous nature of the time and of the atmosphere at this point in the play. Now, Lady Macduff has a little bit of back and forth banter with her son. Son's in it very briefly, but he's very witty, he's very clever, and I think Macbeth's just doing this to have us empathise with another character that's about to get killed, with a bit of wit and a bit of cleverness, and they obviously have a fun little back and forth conversation, which is just really there to highlight the loss of life. Though the son does say one particularly interesting thing, which is they're talking about liars and honest men, and Lady Macduff says that all liars should be hanged by, and the son says, by who? And she says, why, the honest men. And the son says, then the liars and swearers are fools, for there are liars and swearers enough to beat the honest men and hang up them. So the son, quite insightful, is like, more people are liars and swearers than they are honest men. So how are the honest men going to be hanging up all the liars? And that's his perception of Scotland at the time, as a young boy. And so it's interesting to hear him say that. And to be honest, he's mainly right. A messenger comes in and warns Lady Macduff to run away. And Lady Macduff naively says, whither should I fly? I have done no harm. But we learn that you don't need to do any harm in Macbeth, Scotland to be killed anymore. You just need to potentially have slightly had a relative rub him up the wrong way by doing something. That's all it takes. Murderers show up and they murder Lady Macduff's son, and they chase Lady Macduff off stage, crying murder. Or Lady Macduff cries murder as she's chased off stage, and the murderers follow her. I think the fact that she's chased off stage screaming, and it happens off stage. Quite a few deaths happen off stage, but the fact that Lady Macduff's death, and she does die, happens off stage, does a couple of things. One, it mirrors Lady Macbeth's death later on in the play, which also happens screaming off stage, but we hear the scream. And so there's kind of a mirroring going on there between the two of them. And we'll talk later on about how Macbeth and Macduff are kind of set up as opposites in a lot of ways, as mirrors of each other. And lastly, what was I going to say? I think it adds to the kind of, we don't know for certain that she's dead, and so it adds to the unease that we experience at this point in the play. We'll find out later that she is dead, but if you're watching this as an audience, you don't know for 100% certain whether she's been killed, and that unease kind of matches Macbeth's unease when he doesn't know for 100% certain whether this has worked or not. But the murders here happening of a whole family just really serve to increase the kind of degradation and brutality of Macbeth's rule at this point. But they also help to set up Macduff as the hero at the end, which we will talk about in the next screencast.